G'day folks, you're listening to the podcast It's the Whiskey Talking with Harry and Craig. In this podcast we take a light-hearted look at our current favourite whiskey, things that have got us thinking lately, other things that just pop into our heads while we're talking, and matters that have slowly taken on more significance as we ease our way into the last third of our lives. So kick back, pour yourself a pleasing beverage, and join us on our search for wisdom, thinly disguised as mates having a bit of a banter. G'day, Harry.
G'day, Craig. How are you?
Yeah, I want a drink.
You said you could chance to ask a question. Well, I'll join you because I definitely want one as well.
So have you got one for me?
Yes, mate. I've got this very, very interesting looking bottle. It's I suppose it's hexagonal. No, heptagonal. Strange looking bottle, and it's got a skull with a top hat on it, which is interesting in itself. It's the Sexton single malt Irish whiskey, so spelt with the E in it because Ireland has an E. It was given to me by my stepmum, and yeah, it's an interesting whiskey. I don't think it's a very expensive whiskey, and also it's only been aged 4 years from what I can see. But the notes say at the end that basically, overall, despite being relatively young whiskey aged around 4 years, it is noted for its surprisingly heavy, deep, and complex. It's heavy, deep, and complex for its price point. So I think we've tasted a little bit of it already, and it's pretty good.
It's very nice and smooth.
Yeah, it is. So the notes are nose, a mix of rich sweetness and fruitness featuring aromas of caramel, raspberry, plums, red apple crumble, which I was looking forward to, and cereal. Well, I don't know what cereal in there, but special K oats, probably.
I would have to say it's not a very strong nose at all, really.
No. Mind you can hear probably by my tone, my nose is probably not working that well at the moment.
Could be that's the same.
I've got a bit of a cold. Not bad enough to put a mask on, but I'm sitting far enough away from you. Balanced by a woody char, white pepper, and floral nuances.
Okay.
It's a lot of stuff in the nose, but maybe we're not the best people at the moment because we're a bit nasally. Taste, again, probably affected by the pending cold. Sweet and complex on the tongue, it leads with strong notes of vanilla, grapes and plums, followed by dried fruits, honey, raspberry flavoured chocolate. Tell me where I can buy raspberry flavoured chocolate because I'll be buying some of that. And a mild cardamom-like spice. This is the first of several mentions of the spice cardamom, because the finish says a medium length finish that leaves a lingering taste of caramel and lush dried fruits, rounded out with a subtle whisper of cardamom tea. I did get a bit of a cardamom taste actually in my first go on this, but I'll have to try again now and just see if I can still taste the cardamom.
Yeah, I know we've talked about this before, but it's extraordinary how some people can get all of those things out of a taste or a smell.
Yeah, but can they?
Well, I don't know.
Who knows?
I mean, all they need is for someone to agree with them, I suppose.
That's right, exactly. And if they don't, well, because it's personal, well, whatever you taste, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's going to taste it. So you could basically say, as I said before, unicorn farts, and people go, oh, that's good. That's what it tastes like, unicorn farts, because I never tasted unicorn farts.
So anything been on your mind in the last couple of weeks?
Not really. I think with the dog's still convalescing, so I'm still housebound for 3 days of the week, getting less and less as he's getting better. I think Tracy's she's actually crook, so she'll be taking a day off sick tomorrow, and so I can be released to the office and see what the world looks like outside the four walls of this house. I have been getting out a little bit because he's got to go for his 10-minute walks now. But yeah, I have been doing a fair bit of, research, homework and AIing, preparing myself for retirement.
You can find a machine to do your job for you.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, I'm just working out how long super's going to last at predetermined rates of return, etc. So, I think, I don't know, we're trying to, and that's the thing too, it's been a fairly nebulous sort of grey goalpost. We're having we never really know when it's going to be, and we keep looking further ahead and trying to sort of pin down a date. I haven't discussed this with Trace yet, but I think I pinned it down last night that I think probably, and it's longer than I would like, but probably 2028, either the 30th of June or the December. We'll see how we go. But I mean, things will change. I think I'm really trying to look at how much super I can build between now and then, and pay off debt, etc.
Well, I've noticed a change in your attitude towards retirement just in the last few months of us doing this podcast, and that's been a rather rapid acceleration. So I'm hoping you don't become massively grumpy by the end of 2028.
No, I don't, because also that book that you gave me has helped me a lot as well. So I'm trying to balance the two. I do enjoy my work, and if I be honest, it's probably not the work that's making me want to retire. I think it's probably the FOMO more than anything else, watching everyone else around me retire and missing out. And people saying, "Oh, well, what are you going to fill your day with?" Well, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to try and prove that I can fill my day. I know that I can.
Yeah, Instagram's got a lot to answer for.
Mate.
Seeing everyone's pictures.
Well, yeah, exactly right. Well, I stopped looking at Jeff's stuff, but he's been retired since he was 50 odd. So I mean, it's they've been there forever. But also speaking to some other people, I'm speaking to family and helping them out with organise some sort of bits and pieces with them. And my uncle retired at 55, again because he was in the public service, Commonwealth Public Service, and was told that the rules were going to change. What's available now won't be available shortly. So he took early retirement. Unfortunate thing is he now is unwell, has dementia, and so probably not good for him that he did retire so early, because the last thing I'd want to do is pull the pin a couple of years and then get sick. And that's another thing for me. I think probably that's a driving force, and it's a terrible thing. It's the fear of what lies beyond with regards to the health and well-being, and think I don't want to be in a situation where I say, as people you hear, and it's like anything though, you hear what you hear according to what you're thinking at the time, but I don't want to be in a situation where I'm looking back saying, wow, I'm so glad I retired because I'm not well. That's not what I want.
No, it's an important consideration. Just in the last week or so, I've had several opportunities to look at old photos of me and family members. And it's obvious to me how much I've changed in the last 20 years physically. But when I look at people who are older than me and how much they've changed in the last 20 years, and I think, okay, so that's my immediate future. Well, no, Mum has changed a lot in the last 20 years. I mean, she still looks great for her age, but there's no doubt she's changed. And hi, Mum, I know you're a big fan of the show, so...
Yes, keep on dancing.
Keep on dancing, yeah. But yeah, so it's a reality that we all have to face, and you don't want to put off what you want to do too long because you may not have the opportunity to do it.
That's right.
That's the problem.
Well, Tracy's obviously very much into the gym and the fitness and the health, etc. And she read off some figures the other day, and I didn't listen to them because I will listen to them again at another time. But it was basically quantifying what sort of weights you need to be able to lift to be, I guess, strong enough to lift. If you have a fall, if you fall or anything else. And so think something like, I think to bench press half your body weight, or do squats at half or quarter, whatever it is, and so that he also gave me a bit of motivation when I went to the gym yesterday with Trace, and I was, for the first time in a long time, actually recording my weights and pushing hard to make sure I could get to those weights, because I've become fairly ambivalent, or fairly I guess not worried so much when I go to the gym. I just go through the motions. Tracy's got a very, very good strict regime, and she does all that stuff, and she does her things, where I just mark time, and I don't. I've used AI to give me the program, which I've got a program, but no matter how I try, I haven't been able to do it in such a format that I can record my weights on my phone easily. So I was going to go back to the old school and bring a notebook in and start writing stuff, but I managed to last time write notes on my phone. So for the first time in a long time, I'm tracking it. So it's better to do it that way. You actually get better results.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned AI a minute ago. That's why I was so in need of a drink
I'm having the opposite experience with AI. So I've been, in the last couple of days, just dealing with academic integrity issues at my university. And I mean, I've mentioned this before, but it just is starting to do my head in.
That's academic integrity is also
Academic
AI.
integrity is also AI, artificial intelligence. But yeah, what's happening is the students are using it to do their assignments, and they're not supposed to. So we're having to pick it all up and try and work out whether we should interview them about this or not.
But so that's interesting, because that brings me to another point, that because you, I know, are getting close to retirement, as you don't fix your knickers, and not so much, because you know, I mean, it's hard at the moment to all the shit that I've with compliance and everything else that I have to deal with now, and all the looking over your shoulder and you can't do this, and you know, the shit sinks to the bottom. We have to have this best interest duty. Well, that's what I've always done. It's always the best interest of the clients. It's never been anything else. But now I have to document why it is I'm doing what I've always done. So all of that sort of stuff shits me, but I can live with it because I know it's not forever. And you're in the same situation. You know, you got to deal with it, but for how much longer?
Yeah, that's true. But it just massively disappoints me.
Yeah.
That the world has got to this, and it's not just the students that are doing it. The academics are doing it, and I had an unfortunate experience of a senior academic doing this on the examination of a PhD student of mine, and basically passing the job off to AI to do, and not doing it well, and passing it off as their own, fabricating references. And I thought, is this what the world's come to? And this was a profession that, obviously for me, I respected a great deal, and I wanted to be like these other people that I worked with and admired. And I'm not accusing them of doing anything, but today's workforce has seen that AI can make things easier for them, but only if it's used well. And at the moment, people aren't bothering to check whether it's doing it well, and quite often it's doing it really badly.
But is that just the state that we're in at the moment, where it's transitional and people are starting to move into that mode, and it'll have its corrections and its fixes? And then again, the other side of me says, well, so what?
Yeah, no, you're right. It is a transition point, and I'm sure it's going to be. It's here forever now.
Yeah.
And we just need to learn to use it better and work out what it is that humans are good at, and let the machines do what they're good at.
Yeah.
But what's disappointing for me is that in an institution like university, or the university world, the whole idea is that we're trying to learn something, and we're trying to understand something, and we're trying to work out how things work so we can make things better. And you're not going to do that if all of the hard thinking is being done by a machine. I mean, to really get to the nub of a problem, to understand it, you've got to understand it. And often that takes a lot of hard work to get that into your head. But if all that hard work's being done by a machine, you, the person, is never going to get there.
No.
So, and that's what the massive challenge for universities is at the moment, is how do we provide an experience for our students where, okay, they might need to use AI for various things, but at the end of the day, they're still learning something, and they're reaching whatever potential they can get to as humans, not as just sort of guidance officers for the AI.
Yeah, so maybe everything will be more collaborative. I suppose that's how it is probably now anyway. I don't know, because I'm not involved in research in that university, but I would think that maybe any particular problem or research project is taken on by half a dozen people all working together, sitting in the same room or whatever else. I mean, I see on TV and they draw all over the walls and all over the glass windows and everything else with pens. So that kind of stuff can't be done by AI. And
no,
they might go home and come back with something,
bring
it to the group, but the group's going to challenge that and not, I would assume, not accept it as a given.
Yeah, unfortunately, any group of people has a hierarchy typically. I mean, there's someone who's got the money and the rest are sort of working under them. And so the likelihood that a junior person will challenge a senior person is like in any institution, that's a political issue rather than a scientific one. So it's always subject to those sorts of human dynamics. But yes, you would hope that the humans would challenge each other. But there are instances today where papers that are written by a team of people, typically someone does the hard running on the whole and sends it off for comment. But whether or not they read it or not, or can notice that there's something is
or whether the comments are then run through AI to come back with some sort of summary. Yeah, I suppose. Well, maybe it is. Maybe there has to be more time though, but we won't do that. More time in the face to face, but.
No doubt. I think we will get to that, but at the moment, the funding model for universities doesn't support that.
And the whole life doesn't support that. I mean, everything with working from home and working from this, and there's a movement away from actually being in the institution or in the workplace or anything.
Let's change subjects.
Okay.
Funny. So this is just even before we get to what we plan to talk about today.
Yep.
I would often do my exercises in the morning in front of the TV. I'll just stick the news on the free-to-air TV. And it's a commercial station. And I've noticed this for a while, but it's coalesced this morning. And I thought to myself, man, I must be part of a new demographic. That so every ad on this, so it's Crack of Dawn News, every ad is geared towards people of our generation and older. So there are things like there are
nappies
ads for,
and stuff.
Well, there's nursing homes, there's ready-to-eat meals.
Because no other bastards up that hour. You know that.
That's right. Well, what it made me wonder is, do young people not watch free-to-air TV anymore?
Well, they're awake.
Probably. I don't know.
Well, they got kids to deal with in the morning.
But it's disturbing, There's even stuff for, male sexual health and all sorts of and weird. I mean, vitamins. Every sort of vitamin you can think of is up there.
You need to watch Channel 20 or 24, whatever it is. But in saying that too, I think that it's pretty scary when you think, and that is just normal free to air. It's not like they've got your algorithm.
No.
Imagine if they got your algorithm.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's how it's going to be.
I mean,
you'll tune into Channel Craig.
As soon as you start doing a search on your phone for something, the social media ads just start ramming it down your throat. So you almost have to have a separate device to do your searches on. Yeah,
or every now and then just put some weird ass search in there just to change your algorithm. As long as it's not an illegal one, but something else. So it just screws with it.
All right, well, we're going to do something different today. Yep. Normally we have someone that we've interviewed before this episode and then we discuss it. This time we couldn't find anyone.
No.
We couldn't organise it in time for this one. We thought, no, we've got to get another episode done so that we can release the next series.
Yep.
So we thought we'd try something different. And
well, by the way, if anyone wants to be interviewed,
let us know. And we're still looking for whiskey recommendations too. So please pass them on. The email address is at the very end of the episode. So keep listening and you'll hear it. So what we thought we would do is, you've probably got a taste for that already, is we're just going to talk ourselves. I'm sure we can fill up a whole
please
episode.
Stay all the way till the end.
Yes. So one thing we've discovered through doing this podcast is that there's no one way to retire that suits everyone. Our guests have certainly illustrated this well, and they have had many and varied versions of retirement. The internet is also full of opinions about what to expect and how to avoid particular issues. A lot of commentators say the same thing, but there's also a lot of advice that is conflicting. And certainly when it comes to retirement, as with many things in life, different strokes for different folks, although we probably shouldn't joke about strokes at the age we're going into.
It depends on what strokes you're talking about.
Yes. So we thought that in this episode we'd try and rather than look at one person's view of retirement, we'd consider some of the advice that we've found online and dissect it a bit and see how it lands with us. So I've got something here that I've found from an Instagram account called Middle Miles. And they claim to have asked their followers to provide responses to the question, what's one piece of advice you'd give someone who's still a few years away from retiring? And they gave the following 5 points as themes that they had noticed running through the responses they received. So the first one, go into retirement completely debt-free. A debt-free retirement gives you breathing room, flexibility, and peace of mind. So what do you think about that one, Harry?
Well, it kind of like, I understand where it's coming from, and part of the reason that I haven't retired yet, and it's not the only reason, part of the reason is I still have debt, and I'd like that debt to be extinguished by the time I retire. But we've had other people who know far more than I saying that financial shouldn't be the decision for your retirement. You shouldn't make it based on finances, you should make it based on other things. So I don't know. I see why they're saying that, why that's fairly valid. But there's the thing again. I've spoken to my superannuation guy, and I could be channeling money in to pay the remaining mortgage off, or I can be putting it into super. And I asked him this exact question probably 3 days ago, and he said, "Well, yeah, both are good, but at this stage, you're looking for reduce your tax." So. And again, I can't give tax advice, and he's not giving me tax advice. But if someone was giving tax advice in certain circumstances, it may be more beneficial tax-wise to pay money into your super, give you a tax benefit, and still be building up an asset, rather than necessarily looking to pay down debt on a property that is it's not part of your pension or anything else if you go for a pension. So yeah, well, that's my view.
Yeah, well, we also will end up retiring with the debt, or at least I'll be retiring earlier than my wife. So we'll still have the debt, and I could pay off just about all of it out of my super. But I've done the calculation that the interest I'm paying on my mortgage is less than the interest I'm earning on the money in super. So it would actually cost me money to.
Yeah. Well, I've actually so I'll be pretty close to being out of my mortgage by the fact that my business has a intrinsic value. If I was to sell that book at the time when I retire, which I probably will, I mean, there's a couple of different retirement options. If I was to sell the book, it would virtually pay that mortgage off. So I'm in that sort of neutral situation, which is good for me. I would like to put the money in super, but if I can't, well, then I'll use it to pay the debt off. So knowing that and making that decision, I'm not going to bust my gut to try and reduce the mortgage any more than I have to. I'm not going to pay it off in this short time between now and retirement. So it does make far more sense to stick my money in super.
And I guess we've got to remember, so with all of these themes that we're going to talk about, they come from people who are already retired and things that they would have liked to have done before they retired. So for some, it might be a form of regret that they've got this bill they're having to pay once a month or once a fortnight, and they'd prefer not to have that. Sure, we'd all love to do that, but it's just not possible for everyone or achievable. So I don't know if it's, apparently modern societies for people who are retiring nowadays are far more likely to be retiring with a debt than was the case, say, 20 odd years ago. That's just the nature of, I guess, the housing market. The value of properties is so much higher.
So it's less of an issue.
Yeah. So, but then again, because it's less of an issue because we've got a lot of value in the current the houses that we have. So if we're ever stuck, we can sell them and realise that equity. All right, so the second one, travel early and prioritise your health. Travel while your body is still able. Mobility changes fast after your early 70s.
That's a scary thing.
Yeah. I mean, we're of an age where we might be starting to notice the differences that age is bringing, but not to the extent that it's stopping us from doing anything really, except, I mean, I'm not going to go out and play a game of footy anymore.
Or bungee jump. Probably bungee jumping's off the cards. I've done it. Don't do it again.
But this was brought home to me last year when I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, that when we were travelling through Germany, we caught trains a lot. And so going between platforms with big suitcases, can be quite a challenge even at our age, when the suitcases are 20, 25 kilos and your wife can't carry theirs upstairs. So you've got to carry theirs as well. And there's no escalators in some of these small train stations. So that can be a problem, especially when there's very little time in between trains. So I can imagine that this would be very difficult, if not impossible, to do, say, in your 70s. You'd have to plan your travel a lot differently. And so my mum and her husband recently went on a holiday through Europe, and they did 2 of those river cruises back to back, and they're one of those things where the suitcase comes along and you unpack it, and that's it for the whole week or so.
That's what I was about to say. So that's probably another reason why cruises are so popular in people over 70s, because there is not the packing, unpacking. There's not the having to be somewhere to meet a bus or something, or getting on one train to another train. And that's often, those trips are organised by yourselves, and the itinerary is organised by yourself, because you want to fit as much as you possibly can in. And probably if you gave that same trip to a travel agent, they'd say, "You're stupid, mate. Well, you can't, and take an extra day. Don't do that." But I think that's all part of the fact that you're young and invincible. And I think that as you get older, you're going to start saying, well, I think you can still do the travel, but it's going to be designed around what you can physically do, which you've never had to worry about that up until now.
Yep. Yeah, when you have to think about, say, if you're going to stay in an apartment in an older European city, and you have to think about, okay, does this building have an elevator or not? And if not, if it's all stairs, then can I carry my suitcase up there?
That's right. And usually if they do have an elevator, it's big enough for one person and no luggage, so you're going to carry the luggage up the stairs anyways. I don't know, and I don't know that's, but the population's ageing. Maybe I'm going to say that's not going to change. They're not going to put lifts in those places. They're not going to change. Although they might start putting air conditioners in them because they're getting pretty bloody hot.
So I guess, obviously, I think not even just with retirement in mind, but simply if you can travel early, do it as young as possible. But probably if you're thinking that travel is going to be a big part of your retirement, you don't want to be leaving retirement too late. No. Because then, you don't have a lot of good, healthy years.
It depends on what you call travel too, though, I suppose. If you're travelling, as you say, going to Europe and going to some of these little places which are, difficult, and you got to rely on trains, and there's all of that, then maybe the older you get, the harder it gets. But you then do have the travel where you can see those places by doing the river cruises, or you can do a cruise. And then obviously in Australia we have a lot of people in their 70s and more doing their doing the lap. And that, although that still involves a bit of physical work, getting the annex of the awning out and doing bits and pieces, you're actually in a place for 3, 4, 5, 6 days, and you can relax. Which reminded us, I saw something the other day on the internet for camping in a caravan. That was the rule of 3. Was it don't drive more than 3 hours, don't arrive after 3, and stay everywhere for at least 3 days. Which makes sense, and that's probably not even for just older people, but I think it's a good thing. If you're going to go somewhere, suck it up and enjoy it. Don't try to spread yourself too thin, which a lot of the European trips we did in our earlier years, or any trips overseas, you try to pack in as much as you can, see as much as you can, and often that's not the right thing. Especially not if you're 70 plus.
One of my cousin's daughters is doing exactly that at the moment, going through Europe and basically going to all the headline cities. One day here, one day there. You think, oh my God.
But the thing is, and we all did it, and you think, well, it's great to get a bit of an idea, because then you can go back to those places that you want. Do you ever do that? No. The chances are you never go back there. No. So if someone could look at them and say, Hank, that's a great idea, but you will never go back. There's too many other places you can go to. You'll say, have you been to Barcelona? Yes, I've been to Barcelona. Well, you don't have to go back again then. No, that's right, I don't.
Unless it's one of your all-time favourites, and then you have to go back every time, like my wife and Rome.
Yeah. That's right. Well, good on you, Nick, but I don't think I need to go back to Rome.
All right, number 3. Buy less stuff and invest more. Choose experiences over possessions. I suppose probably, I wonder if people on their deathbed ever regret not buying a car or not buying a particular watch, but they might regret not having, like for instance, going travelling or seeing something.
Yeah, I don't know, and that I do see where that's coming from. There's another point to look at, and that I tend to agree with it as well. If later in your life you have to rely on the superannuation, on the age pension, your possessions become part of your asset test as well. So they can't asset test experiences.
Yeah, very good.
So if you're buying the flash car and you're getting all that sort of stuff, it's all going to add up to your asset test. And if you're lucky or fortunate enough, not lucky enough, I suppose, if you've done the right thing and you've got enough superannuation, probably it doesn't matter. But at some stage you may need to get a pension. And if you need to have a pension, then there is the asset test and the flashy four-wheel drive, the Land Cruiser and everything else all adds to your assets, which reduces your pension.
So it's not the case, I mean, like, this could be just my ignorance, but so you can have a house and there's no calculation on that, but the car, they actually check
everything
the value
else,
of it.
Yeah, your car, your contents, I think, as well, your holiday house, and your superannuation.
Yeah.
And I think at this stage, and I'm not giving advice here, but I think it's probably just over $1 million. So it's still quite generous. And I think it starts being reduced at about 400 and something thousand, just under $500,000, I think 490,000. So you can get the full pension if your assets outside the house are under sort of 400 and something $1,000.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But yeah, I think I do see, buy less stuff, but there are people that like stuff. And if stuff what makes you happy and you're in retirement, what the fuck, buy stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Because some people, again, the older they get, don't want to travel. They don't want experiences. They're happy just being comfortable at home. So make your home comfortable.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And also, for some people, that is their hobby.
Yeah.
Collecting certain things.
Totally.
Yeah.
And, I made a joke about, having the flash four-wheel drive, but if you're travelling distances, you want to be comfortable.
Number 4.
I kind of like this one. It's probably one.
Have a purpose to retire to. Don't retire from something. Retire to do something. Anything that keeps you engaged, connected, and fulfilled. I mean, some of our guests have sort of talked about that. But I think there's a lot in that. We all talk about a job. For some people, it is what they like doing with their life. For others, it's just a means of earning income. And therefore, retirement also has the same complexity to it. For some people, it's just not doing jobs, not doing what someone else is telling them to do. For other people, it is a chance to finally do the things that they want to do. So I can see the wisdom in that. I think it's in terms of having what you might consider a worthwhile and fulfilled retirement. It's having something worthwhile and fulfilling to do in that time.
Yeah, get up in the morning.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was reading a report that came out recently by the superannuation company UniSuper. It's their Retire with Purpose report 2025. And they surveyed a few thousand people who were, I think half of them were UniSuper clients and the other half were just the general public. And they asked some things about retirement. And one of the statistics that I found in this report said that 31% of people cited the fear of losing their sense of purpose or becoming bored in retirement as one of their top 3 concerns. So you could almost understand why a lot of people put off retirement if they haven't thought yet what they're planning to do. And I know also of some people who've retired recently, some good friends of mine who didn't really have a plan in their retirement, and even within the first few months they're suddenly thinking, I'm feeling a little bit bored now.
Well, I think probably that's a good lesson, because I think I don't fit into that category you just mentioned. I will never be in a situation where I think, what am I going to do? I'll find stuff to do and I'll be happy doing whatever it is I do. But I think probably what you just said is right. I think if you're going to retire, you want to plan to be busy for at least the first 6 months, even longer, because then you'll settle into the routine. I think if you don't have a trip planned or something happening for 2 or 3 months, there's the chance that you're going to fall into a bit of a hole and wonder, what the hell am I doing? And by the time you go on your trip or your holiday or whatever it is, it may be you've already set some views on what it's like to be retired and not know what you're doing.
Yeah. In that same report, there are about 2/3 of Australians who say that they're going to be caring for loved ones in their retirement, and that's going to be one of their top 3 priorities. Whereas another third cited volunteering and community involvement as a key goal. So, yeah, interesting that people have these
altruistic
plans, altruistic things in life, but also others. So, for instance, Gen Xers and Millennials, they think that they'll continue to work in retirement to some extent, but not necessarily for financial reasons, but often to maintain their social connections. So you can see that people are thinking about what retirement might look like, and that being just by sort of isolated from something where there are other groups of people is something to fear and to be wary of. Everyone, a lot of people seem to have already realised that maintaining those sorts of connections is vitally important.
Well, I think the other side of it too is talking about this here is running from something. As much as you may hate your job, retirement may not be the answer to that, because you've got to deal with the fact of why you hate your job. Fix that before you retire. Don't run from your job and say, now I'm retired, because if you haven't fixed that other issue that you may have had with retirement, whether it was the type of work or the people you're dealing with, whatever else, I don't know, but I think it wouldn't be a bad thing to maybe resolve that before you pull the pin. Go do something else, get another job for a while and then retire, because I don't know that leaving on a bad note is going to actually make your retirement any better.
No. Well, that really segues quite nicely into the 5th and final point that this Instagram account said, which was test drive retirement before you get there. Cut back on work hours early, build routines before the last day, start activities now so the transition feels natural. Apparently the first 6 to 18 months of retirement can be an emotional time as retirees adjust to the loss of structure, routine and social connections.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of the statistics I've looked at suggest that a lot of people are going to make a dramatic change to their life. Some people want to go on massive travel. Others want to try a new vocation. Some want to develop a new skill. And I guess there's only one way to find out if that's going to work or not for you is to do it.
Yeah.
But if you can get some idea before retirement, before making those dramatic changes, whether it's going to work, then you're better prepared.
Well, that's the other thing too, and I don't think it doesn't affect some people, but I thought about this before as well. I know that our income will reduce, and so I'm trying to now make the financial practice, trying to reduce my spending as much as possible. I know there'll be things that we won't have to spend because the job won't be there, and there's things associated with going to work and all those other things. So most of those are tax deductible for me, so they're less of an issue. But yeah, so that's the practice that I'm doing at the moment, and I think also of the fact that we're both Trace and I are winding down our hours, which she's not always. She's done 20 hours and she's worked it up to 30 hours, and I'm just trying to do the 30 hours as well in the same sort of time frame that she does. So we're trying to practice that. So it's a good idea, because you want to slip into it, you don't just want to smash into it.
Yeah. Yep. And so that UniSuper report also suggested that 40% of retirees say that it's important to make new friends, compared to only 20% of pre-retirees. So obviously stopping work means ceasing some social connections, and people who've retired are noticing that and trying to think of ways that they can make some new friends, whereas the people who they surveyed who were still working hadn't quite realised that and didn't see finding new friends as a priority. So I've already started thinking about that. I mean, I can't say that I get much social interaction at my work currently. I used to, but it's changed so much now that there's hardly anyone around. And even though I've got a good group of close friends that I see very regularly, it's not, and on a normal week, I don't see very many people at all.
Mm-hmm.
So either if I'm working at home or working on campus, I can go a whole day without talking to anyone, really. Except maybe, hello, how you going? How's the weather?
Well, that's what I find working from home, that becomes that way. And I do enjoy going back into the office, although none of the people in the office I would say are friends, and I probably won't catch up with them socially. So I don't think, for me, not being there's going to have too much of an impact. But it's funny because, not funny, but one of the guys in that I do think is a good bloke, and he, could be a friend if things go on. And unfortunate thing for him is he's lost a lot of friends in the last 2 or 3 months. And he's not an old bloke. He's younger than I am, younger than you, and we're both younger, both of us. And he's lost another one this week as well. And I said, shit, mate, you must be running out of friends. And he said, I'm going to stop making friends because it's just not worth it.
Oh, that's...
Yeah. And I said to him, he said, tongue in cheek, and I said, well, that's fine, I'll just be an acquaintance then. So that's how we left it. So he could be a friend. He's a good bloke, and we've got common friends that we know. So, but other than that, I'm not out trying to find new friends. I'm happy with the friends I've got. What I have thought about, which is a pretty dark thing to think about, is though that, and we've talked about this off air, how it's important to, I guess, nurture those friendships and treat them like a plant, I suppose, put a lot of bullshit on them and keep them going so that they grow, because if you don't, then you grow apart and all of a sudden things happen. And I know that in my relationship with Tracy, she's the one's always organising the social events and always doing all of that. So I know if she stopped doing that for whatever reason, I would stunt a little bit. So I've got to try and step up. I'm trying to.
I guess what might be missing for people when they do stop work and they lose that social connection with people is it may not be the sort of thing that we all get from close friends, our close social friends, but it's a sort of a shared experience that you can develop some repartee about.
Yes,
so
and that's exactly
it's like work-related chat. And that
bitching
sort of stuff.
and whining about the bank. So
you'd lose that, and I think that's why social clubs and sporting clubs can be quite useful for people, because they talk about sport.
That's a common theme.
Yeah, so they don't necessarily have to be your new best friend, but it's someone that you can have a familiarity with, who you can then have the banter. And I think we do seem to. I've noticed that the older I get, because I'm getting less and less of that at work, I clearly am missing some of that. And I never really thought that I needed that sort of thing, but I guess up until the last few years, I've always had a situation where that's been available, and I've just sort of slotted in.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, that is our office. There's not often more than probably half a dozen people in the office at any one time. But because it's open plan office, we're sitting next to each other and talking to each other. You're not in little booths, you're not in cocoons. So everybody hears everybody else's phone call, and whether you want to or not. So we'll say, oh no, mate, don't do it that way, do it this way, or geez, they're a pack of bastards, that bank, or whatever. And you have that ability to discuss things. You're not going to change the world, but it's a good opportunity to talk, if nothing else. Like you said, you go hours and hours and not even use your voice.
Yep.
And that's a scary thing.
All right, well, I think that's enough for today. Let's sign off and plan our next social occasion, mate.
Sounds good.
There you go. Thanks.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, Craig.
It's The Whiskey Talking. It's written and produced by Craig Spielman and Harry Swanson. All music is written and performed by Craig Spielman. The audio was recorded at The Wardrobe in Perth, Western Australia. We value your feedback about the show, especially any information you can provide on issues we've discussed that we can share with our listeners. We'd also love to hear any whiskey recommendations. Our email address is whiskeytalking@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. We all benefit profoundly from more listening.